Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining today. Friday, March 7th, 2025, broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere in between two formerly tariffed nations. My name is Brian Engelman. This is the Agree to Disagree show here on the new American media, because the old American media failed you. And you know that it has. You know that it has. To be specific, you know that they've been lying to you. They've been lying to you for a very long time. And that's why you join over here, the new American media. We are live. We welcome your thoughts. We welcome your jokes. And we are live. Join us. There we go. I'm sending this out on our groups on Facebook. Make sure you're following us. Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, YouTube, and Truth Social, the new American media. That's how you find us. X at American_media_, patreon.com/the new American media. Link up with us in all of those places. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Check out our interview yesterday with Adam Kokesh. That was a good time catching up with Adam. Talked for a while about off the grid sustainable living. That's I need to have more conversations about that. You sort of sometimes lose track of your passions. I love the topic. But to be fair, Adam did call me a pussy yesterday. He said, what's holding you back? What's holding you back? Why aren't I think he was kind of getting at, like, why aren't you in an Earth ship? Why didn't you build an Earth ship? That's what Adam did in Arizona. But I've been converting my house as it is into something better than it was when I got here. Collecting rainwater, growing more food. But yeah, the off-the-grid self-sustainable where you don't have a heating or cooling bill. It's fantastic. I would love... I did tell him, I'm like, I'm actually kind of content. This was like a nice stepping stone to get out of Los Angeles. Whew, I can breathe so much easier being out of Los Angeles. So this is a nice stepping stone. I don't know where the next step will be. I don't know that where I'm at now will be my forever home, but it's good for now. It is good for now. So I am kind of comfortable. So check out that interview yesterday. He's like, oh, I'm only saying that because I care. He's like, that's what you say to your friends when you want them to be doing something, when you want them to be doing better. Adam is a very ideological young man. Libertarian candidate for president. Several times, I believe. So check that show out. It's in the archives. Today, we are going to talk about the Epstein files. Are they being held to protect a foreign nation? Is Hunter Biden really broke? Did Joe Biden not sign any of his legislation? What are we even talking about? What is going on in this crazy world? We're going to unpack it today. So leave your comments. I will try to get to them in the chat overlay as things wind up. So go ahead and leave your comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's jump into the stories of the day. Let's go side by side here. Bam. All right. Let's see the story, shall we? Where's it? Silent? Okay.
Invading the nations. The U.S. always fabricates human rights violation to justify intervention. Today, same tactics are being used against South Africa. The growing calls by right-wing groups for foreign funding to establish independent states and to be armed by foreign interest must be recognized as part of a broader plan. This is the early stage of economic isolation, leading ultimately to military intervention. Next, AGOA will be terminated, escalating tensions between USA and South Africa. Our government must dismiss opportunistic African and racist groups exploiting US imperialism to fund their racist fantasies of an independent state. That will never happen. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. Deputy Speaker, Trump and the USA are not.
So, South African National Assembly today, we will expropriate without compensation, whether they, the white Afrikaners, like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America. So, Africa's a mess. It's where Elon came from. He has thoughts. I hope sometime soon I'll get a chance to talk with John B. Wells again. I believe his wife is from South Africa. They have very strong thoughts. What's going on there is abhorrent, racist, disgusting, very, very bad. Very, very bad. Keep the story on your radar. Been hearing reports, seeing stories. Man, I saw some video I wish I could unsee. Ugh. A lot of stories coming out of the Congo about Christians being slaughtered. Not quite finding the confirmation that I would want to see to share the story, but I do keep seeing it. There's a darkness. There's an evil force that's around. And we need to shine a light on it when you see it. Keep your eyes peeled on South Africa. All right, let's hear about Byron Donalds, shared from Chad Prather. He's on CNN trying to make sense of what is with the Democrats and what are they complaining about?
When prices were rising in the United States, I didn't hear CNN talking about that much. As a matter of fact, you ignored most of it while it was hurting the American people. So let the president negotiate on tariff policy. That is what he's doing, and it's going to work out to the better. You didn't cover it the way it needed to be covered. Let's just be perfectly honest.
Okay, well, that's a matter of opinion.
You let the last administration get away with it, but the American people suffered as a result.
But
no, it's not my opinion. That's a fact.
Okay, no, it's not a fact. Congressman Byron Donalds, thank you for coming on to share your points of view. We appreciate your time and best of luck in your run for governor of Florida. We'll be right back.
Because when prices were rising in the United States,
yeah, they didn't really go. You didn't hear much criticism at all when it was Joe Biden in office, and it's nonstop against Trump. Just try to kind of hit it accurately. Just accurately describe what's going on. Like this one, USAID, doing just enough charity to cover up what it's primarily used for.
Overthrew 8 governments. The USAID overthrew 8 governments. What in the world? Why would we have an unelected bureaucracy, an unaccountable bureaucracy run by Samantha Power, for goodness sakes, actually infiltrating and messing with governments around the world? Now, look, I don't necessarily agree with the leadership in Colombia or Guatemala or Nicaragua. Obviously, I have a very different political philosophy, but the people in those countries, they care about their families. They care about having food on the table. They care about some of the very core things that we believe in as well. And we are inundating them with absolutely toxic ideas.
It's very interesting because for the entirety of my life, I always hear it from left-wingers and socialists and progressives. Well, you don't know what the Americans have been doing and conniving, and Venezuela, and trying to change regimes across the world. This was a left-wing position. And now that the revolution seems to be wearing a little red hat, not a Maoist hat, I note, a Trumpian MAGA hat, they are not happy about it. And a lot of people that you'd think would be generally supportive, and some of them have been open and honest about it, like Jon Favreau, the Obama former speechwriter, who's got now a big podcast, said, we should have done this, I think, or at least it was said on his podcast. And so what do you make of that? Why is there this odd flip now that a lot of the left, who probably would have supported this if this was a Democrat position, are turning against you?
The reason that they didn't support it and the reason they didn't do it is, again, it's one of the ways in which massive amounts of federal money have been laundered through organizations and back into the DNC coffers.
Yes. By the way, this is Harriet Hageman.
And they know about it.
I'll be very...
Do you think they know about it?
I absolutely know for a fact that they know about it. They overthrew 8 governments. The USAID overthrew 8 governments. What in the world? Why would we have an unelected bureaucracy, an unaccountable bureaucracy run by Samantha Power, for goodness sakes, actually infiltrating and messing with governments around the world. Now, look, I don't necessarily agree with the leadership in.
Okay, I'm sorry that clip restarted. That is my biggest complaint with Instagram. It replays the clip, and I'm thinking 3 steps ahead. Sometimes I don't catch it. Yeah. All money laundering. You wonder where they're getting such a war chest of ammunition to hire people to put on their AstroTurf little programs. Well, they've been robbing you to do it, is what it is. And I'm very grateful that Doge has been able to stop some of this. Toria Brooke reporting, Ukraine is set to begin negotiations with the United States next week to discuss ending the war, according to the Financial Times.
Black Lives Matter Plaza. It's hard to miss the big letters leading straight to the White House. This place came to be in 2020. In 2025,
Jeez.
It could all go away.
Wow, I don't even have words.
Oh, that's bad news. They need to keep that.
I think we have a lot of other issues in this country to worry about.
We all matter. No race, no colors, or nothing. We all matter.
Then why doesn't it say we all matter? It says something very divisive.
So if you take that away, you're taking away a whole memory of everybody that lived for this.
So Mayor Bowser came out, issued a statement saying, "We have long considered Black Lives Matter Plaza's evolution, and the plaza will be part of DC's America 250 mural project, where we will invite students and artists to create new murals across all 8 wards."
Y'all been in discussion with the White House over this particular issue for some time.
Well, I'm not going to talk about specifics about my conversations, but I think it's safe to
Black Lives Matter Plaza.
So we shall see.
Say that people don't like it, didn't like it.
Now, what we don't know yet is the timing here, but it appears that Black Lives Matter Plaza, a symbol of the fight for racial justice in America, coming at a time when things were very tense. Remember,
Yeah, that was all drummed up by the Democrat divisive deep state media. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I do.
Summer of 2020, the time that George Floyd was murdered by police in Minneapolis. Black Lives Matter Plaza seems like the time is coming to an end.
Alawite civilians rally in front of Russian Air Force Base and Syrian Khmeimim. What? I don't know how to say that. People want Russian protection. Amazing how these chants all sort of have the same cadence and sound to them. Highly orchestrated. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said that the individuals who were leaking sensitive details about immigration and customs enforcement ICE raids targeting violent illegal aliens have been identified and will face criminal prosecution. Oh, that's the way.
Today we're signing.
Also, we have this. President Trump has signed an executive order creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve with Bitcoin the federal government already owns. Oh.
This is very historic, an executive order establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile. This is a promise that you made throughout the campaign, and today we're keeping that promise. The reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin that the federal government already owns, so it won't cost taxpayers a dime. This is like a digital.
Why do we already own Bitcoin? I mean, if at energy plants, at power plants, why don't we have some mining going on to harvest some of that sweet, sweet energy?
Digital Fort Knox for digital gold. And premature sales of Bitcoin over the past years cost American taxpayers over $17 billion in lost value because we didn't have a long-term strategy.
Right.
Now we do. So.
And this is something you believe in?
100%, yeah.
Okay.
And the whole community believes in it.
Very good. And I made the promise, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Take note of how President Trump signs everything and shows you that he signs everything. We're going to talk about Joe Biden. Did he really sign anything? Was the puppet presidency really as bad as you thought. It might be.
Today we're signing. This is
South Korean court canceled the arrest of the impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol. This report live from America TV. Israel rejected the U.S. Hamas secret talks. Hold on. Israel rejected the U.S. Hamas secret talks intense. Israel rejected the U.S. and Hamas secret talks in a tense call between Netanyahu's right-hand man and President Trump's Middle East special envoy, Steve Witkoff, according to Axios. RT reporting U.S. is rushing to import eggs from Poland, France, and Indonesia to ease the shortage. Trump needs 70 to 100 million eggs to flood the market and cut egg prices, delivering on his campaign promises. It only takes a couple months for chickens to be hatched and raised. Like, what are we doing? And can we grow more of this stuff locally? We need more local produce. Neighbors need to have some chickens. You need to have some gardens. Let's get back to that. That's how we're supposed to be living, people. It's how we're supposed to be living. U.S. geospatial intelligence company Maxar Technologies blocked Ukraine's access to satellite images at the request of the Trump administration. So the U.S. geospatial intelligence company Maxar blocked Ukraine's access to satellite images because at the request of the Trump administration. This war has to be winding down at this point. There's really nowhere else for it to go. Nick Sortor saying the European Union has failed to reach a deal for Ukraine, and there was an emergency meeting that ended with no funding or rearmament, per the New York Post. This was so predictable. Ha ha. Zelensky fled to the UK after being booted out of the White House by Trump, hoping that the EU would bail him out. But it turns out Europe is broke because of their self-created migrant crisis. They've allowed their country to be invaded by foreigners. Now Zelensky will come crawling back to Trump, who could have possibly seen this coming. Act Blue, Charlie Kirk reporting here, shared from Gentry Gevers. Does someone know how I'm supposed to say that? Gevers? Hello, Alan. Welcome to the show. Saying George Floyd killed himself by an overdose, so he never was a model citizen. Yeah, I mean, the toxicology reports say what they say. I mean, there's a lot of chemicals that were... And I had this conversation the other day. There were lethal amounts of fentanyl in his system. However, being a heavy user of fentanyl, the overdose amount would probably have gone up from... what the heck is the word? Not assimilation. Tolerance. But yeah, a whole bunch of chemicals in the system. And if you watch the whole video, the dude is having a panic attack, heart attack, overdose, something. He was having a medical event as soon as the cop walked up to the car. I can't breathe. He was saying it the whole time. He was just placed into the back of the cop car. It was done. Then he wiggled out the other side. Like there's a whole video that most people have never seen. You see what looks like a knee on the neck, and you see him dead. And it was the shoulder, it was the back, it was the upper neck, or upper back, it was the neck. But the trachea wasn't broken. There's reports on that. Benny Boy. Oh, it's been a long day, people. Like, it's not Ben Stein. Ben Shapiro. There we go. Jeez, Daily Wire. He's kind of making the rounds, saying that they need to release Derek Chauvin, or at least he should be pardoned federally. We'll see what happens with that. All right, Alan, good point here. You're saying it takes 9 months for chickens to start laying eggs. Okay. And that also depends on weather. And I know because I raise free-range chickens. Oh, that's awesome. How many chickens do you have? Okay, it takes 9 months. I had my information wrong. I thought it was 2 to 3 months. But it takes 9 months for the chicks to be hatched and then the chicks to start laying. Okay. Thank you for that. And how many chickens do you have? Charlie Kirk here saying the New York Times has reported that Act Blue is in turmoil. Mysteriously, 7 top executives have all left in the past 3 weeks, several of whom had all been there more than a decade. None of them will explain on the record why they left. The last remaining lawyer at Act Blue's general counsel's office has been locked out of his email and put on leave after sending internal messages that we have whistleblower policies for a reason. 2 unions representing Act Blue employees are openly questioning the group's stability and call the situation alarming. They're demanding the hiring of an independent investigator. More than $16 billion has been funneled through Act Blue in the past 20 years. What could they possibly be hiding?
You only need
what do we got here? Chase Hughes. Okay. On Rogan.
Need one thing, and you can spot whether or not you're standing in the middle of a psyop. That one thing is, if the opinion that's coming out needs people to be silenced, it's a psyop. There are psychological operations in play.
Wow. So if you can't question it, if you're supposed to just go along, it's a psyop.
Yeah, and if people have to be silenced or publicly shamed because of their information, and they're not telling people the sky's falling, they're not saying crazy shit. Mm-hmm. They're just saying basic stuff, and they need to be silenced. That is a psyop.
I've had to suffer through that. If you're getting silenced, you're getting throttled, then it's a psyop. Okay. Here's Kristi Noem talking about the border. I'm sorry, Kristi Noem. No, this is Tulsi Gabbard.
Asia, there were over 4,000 people who came across our borders using an ISIS-affiliated network. Our National Counterterrorism Center went through and identified those individuals. There were hundreds of them who were either known terrorists or associated with known terrorists. That information was provided to the Biden administration. You may remember in some of the news, a little over 100 of those people were arrested in 2024. Of those who were arrested, only 8 were either deported or remained in custody. Only 8. The rest of them were released back into our country. Where are they? What are they doing? What may they be plotting? This is just the beginning. There are many, many areas that we need to stay very focused on, working with the Department of Homeland Security, working with the FBI to ensure that we're keeping the American people safe. Our Counterterrorism Center is working on making sure that we have that single source for vetting so that we can figure out who is actually in our country and identify those who pose a threat and get them removed. From Central.
This just feels like such a competent administration. I've never felt like this level of, not relief, but just confidence. Our comment was that Biden, Harris, Obama, Democrats are traitors. It's all obvious. Can they be indicted? Here's another clip. This is Scott Jennings crushing it as he usually does.
Should be talking to the American voter about how Donald Trump has not delivered on these key issues, and instead we are heading towards a potential government shutdown that will only hurt the American people.
It's amazing to me, by the way, we're having this debate because Joe Biden was president for 4 years and ran the country off into the ditch, and that's why Kamala Harris lost the election. And now Donald Trump's been president for about 5 minutes, and Democrats are like, well, my gosh, why isn't somebody fixing all the problems we caused? I just don't think voters are that silly, really. I mean, I think they take a longer view of this. His report card will ultimately come in the midterms, which isn't until next year. Until then, he's got to get the Republicans in Congress to come along with him on this reconciliation plan, on extending and making permanent the tax cuts. And then the American people are going to give it a chance to work. But the guy took office in January, and he's trying to unravel a mess that was 4 years in the making. I think he's got a little more leash than maybe you're giving him credit for.
I agree. It's a complete mess. Speaking of a mess, Raging West is reporting today it becomes law that Muslims and minorities are to be given lesser sentences than white British people. You couldn't make this up, but here it is in Parliament today.
I don't pretend that cutting the court backlog is easy, although it will be quick. But the Secretary of State owes the country.
UK hasn't passed a law to give lighter sentences to minorities, according to logically fact.
A plan and a timetable for when the backlog is actually going to fall. This morning, she was repeatedly asked, but refused to give an answer. So can she tell the country now? When will the court backlog begin to fall? By what date does her department forecast it falling? And why will she not take up the 2,500 additional sitting days offered time and time again by the Lady Chief Justice? And lastly, turning to the new sentencing guidelines that's been published alongside this statement.
New sentencing guidelines that have been published alongside this statement.
Which will make a custodial sentence less likely for, and I quote, ethnic minorities, cultural minorities, and faith minority communities. Why is the Justice Secretary enshrining this double standard, this two-tier approach to sentencing?
Two-tier approach to sentencing. So he's saying one thing, Instagram Meta is saying a different thing, that UK hasn't passed a law to give lighter sentence. Okay, so what is it then? Are they not giving us the full context? Let's see what Grok says. Whoop. Misleading. Well, what's the deal? A reverse image search. Hey, let me just ask Grok. I don't want to sit here and read this. There's been confusion and misinformation circulating. As of March 7, 2025, the UK has not passed a law explicitly mandating lighter sentences for minorities compared to Britain's. Claims suggesting otherwise stem from misinterpretations of proposed changes to sentencing guidelines by the Sentencing Council, an independent body of England and Wales responsible for developing sentencing guidance for court. Okay. Recognize disparities, two-tiered system, current status. The guideline hasn't been reversed yet. It's under strong scrutiny. Okay. Systemic disparities and guaranteeing specific outcomes. All right, well, keep your eyes peeled on it. They're debating it. If it can be talked about, it could be possible, right?
This is an inversion of the rule of law. We on this side of the House believe in equality under the law. Why doesn't she? Speaker, I don't...
Yeah, that sounded funny. Well, keep your eyes peeled on that if any of these... Europe seems completely lost at this point. The fact that they're even having these discussions, like, it suggests you're at a really weird tipping point. New York Post reporting, Hunter Biden says he can't... What is it? Hunter Biden says he's just a starving artist now. Now that his dad's not in the White House anymore, the former first son claimed he's millions of dollars in debt. Nobody's buying his art. Buying his art. And he lost his house to the Los Angeles wildfires in a bombshell legal firing, which he asked a federal judge to drop the laptop hacking lawsuit he slapped on a former Trump White House aide. Okay. He's not selling art. It was all money laundering. Yeah, that's what I say. It was always money laundering. We all knew that. His art. Get out of here.
We're joined.
Here's Michael Schellenberger talking a little bit about where things are at now with President Trump and how the arc of history has radically changed.
Best-selling author and publisher of the Twitter Files, not to mention Substacker. His Substack Public is essential reading. I read it every day. Michael Schellenberger. Michael, thank you for joining us tonight. So how's it going over there in the US? The Democrats, I watched Trump's address to Congress. They look to be completely adrift from where the average voter is in America.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, it's great to be with you. Yeah, I mean, it's as though the Democrats deliberately cast themselves in the role of children against a kind of paternalistic Trump. The behaviors were tantamount to temper tantrums. protesting before he had said anything. They had their cards written before he had spoken. And yet you still left the evening not sure what they were complaining about. The big three issues that Democrats had really waged culture war on were climate apocalypse, transgenderism, and racialized DEI programs. There was no mention of those. They were running away from those topics, and you can see why. 78% of Americans say they don't want biological males in female sports. 71% are against gender-affirming care. We've all
unnecessary genital mutilation, permanent abolition of sex drive, reproductive abilities, orgasm abilities. Yeah, it's if someone wants to turn 18 and do what they want to do on their own money, I would encourage that they don't mutilate themselves. I like how Trump said it. You're perfect how you were built. Like God made you how you were made. You're fine. You don't need to go seeking out surgical options here. You can't become something you're not. I cannot become a woman. A woman cannot become a man. You can dress how you dress. Just use the bathroom of your sex. That's it. And in sports, stay out of the locker rooms. Men, stay out of the ladies' sports. Men, that's just how we do things here. Yes, Democrats are completely out of touch. Even Gavin Newsom. I played it yesterday. He talked to Charlie Kirk. Gavin Newsom is still like he kind of came out expressing understanding of why men and women need to be separated in sports. It's like sometimes it makes you feel like you're living inside of a cuckoo clock. Like we don't need to be having this conversation. It's self-evident what's going on and why it needs to be this way. But, as long as the Democrats want to keep having really bad opinions, all right, we'll keep winning.
All seen what Britain has done in terms of phasing it out. We just saw Governor Gavin Newsom, one of the country's most high-profile Democrats of California, coming out against boys and men in women's and girls' sports. So you see the Democrats, really their whole agenda, it's not just that they lost the elections, they really lost, I think, the moral high ground over the last several years. And that,
I don't know that they ever had the moral high ground.
That got cemented with a political victory that the public delivered to Trump. But I mean, it's straight out of Greek tragedy. I mean, the Democrats have made Trump into a world historical figure on par with other major figures of the past who's ushering in not just a new government, but really a new world order.
I mean, I'm just interested looking at, all the things that Trump's doing, stripping out diversity, equity and inclusion, pushing back against woke ideology in the institutions, the tariffs, everything else. I mean, this is actually bigger than Trump and it's bigger than America, isn't it? Are we not actually seeing a philosophical turn in the West? We're seeing a sort of repudiation of what we might call the liberal consensus, what we might call the sort of zeitgeist that dominated Western societies for much of the last 20 years. I mean,
it's an unraveling of the Obama doctrine of division and destruction. It's overdue, and it's also showing the rest of the world this is the way. Reject the Obama doctrine.
There's something bigger. I look at Germany, I look at Italy, I look at France, I even look here in Britain. We've got the rise of the Reform Party, number one in the polls at the moment. There is something bigger going on here, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for years, I would sort of think it was a little cringe, this idea that we were headed towards a fourth turning. It seemed very new age, this idea that every 80 years since 1776, 1860, 1940, 2025, that there's some big epical shift. But of course, that's exactly what's occurring. The world is in a reversion back to, I think, a more natural state of national sovereignty. We had 80 years of very intense globalization that I think most people at this point think went too far with mass migration. We still...
Yeah, an invasion of your country. You need shared experiences to have a community, to have a nation.
Europe, we still view Europe as our siblings, as our equals. We descended from the European Enlightenment. We care about it. But I think we're ready to re-level our relationship. We're very tired in the United States of fighting foreign wars. It's not just Ukraine.
What has happened among the elites in politics in the West?
Yeah, I spot on. I absolutely agree. I mean, the idea was that the right had become radicalized. That's why people say the far right. That's why
I don't use the term far right. The far right, the radical right. I don't use those terms because that's what they use to call normal people. I'm not going to take the bait and use their language.
They equate nationalism with fascism or totalitarianism.
It's so stupid. They know that's not true. They just repeat it because they think it's effective. It's not even effective. It's not.
In reality, the new right, the more nationalist right, has moderated from previous right-wing positions. In the United States, Trump famously criticized the Iraq invasion. He defended entitlements like Social Security and Medicare. They took abortion off the table, and they embraced things that the normies that are very moderate. Sports for women should be protected for women. We should not be operating on the bodies of children in an effort to change their gender or sex.
Yeah, that's just, it's something that doesn't work. It doesn't, you cannot become something you're not. And you're perfect how you were made. You're loved how you are. Love yourself. You're okay. Anyway, check out the whole interview. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It is a good conversation, but it's 8 minutes long. This was a good video. So Musa Abdraim, a retired boxer, offers to take the place of a woman who is being held in the Almaty Hold on, 16, where are we? Little uncertain. Opening to hand while it's happening. Their whole time. Bravo, good sir. Good job. Good job. Always be ready when you're out in public. Always be ready. You never know when you're going to encounter something that's going to require your attention to spring into action. Gender and tonic. What's up, Kenneth? Kenneth Allen. Everybody else watching, please hit like, please hit subscribe. We're going through the news. We are finding out what there is worth talking about today so that we can have better conversations. It's the weekend. Are you doing anything this weekend? There's a question of the day. Alan, Kenneth, everybody else, question of the day, type it in. What are you planning on doing today and tomorrow and Sunday? Anything interesting? I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. My schedule was a little off. I went to go see Eddie Bravo and Sam Tripoli yesterday at the Comedy Club. It's a good show. Pretty neat. If you're a performer, Hey, Deb, what's up? Nice to see you. If you're a performer and there's a non-sold out show, you can get into the show without having paying a cover. That's pretty awesome. That helps me out a lot, as I am trying to do stand-up now. I've done 5 weeks of stand-up. I could be going every day. I have other things to do. I try to be funny here on this show when I can. Kenneth's birthday today. Everybody type in the comments, happy birthday to Kenneth. Happy birthday, good sir. Do you have anything planned for this momentous occasion? Celebrating the circle, your orbit around, well, you know, whatever, 365 days. You get it. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kenneth. Happy birthday to you. All right. Can I go side by side? I can on this one. Let's play it. This is J.D. Vance.
As President Trump said last night at the State of the Union,
oh, doggone it. Is the music Muse? Can I use this music?
Laws. We didn't need fancy legislation. We just needed a new president of the United States, and thank God that's exactly what we have. This is a demonstration.
This sounds like generic music that can play in the background, and we'll see if YouTube flags it for copyright. Ugh.
A true partnership on the southern border. Border security is national security.
There's Pete Hegseth, Border Patrol. I mean, this is common sense. This is what it's always needed to be. Just basic. Just do the basics.
Our objective is to keep the American people safe. I'm grateful to be a part of this team that President Trump has assembled.
Okay. Actually going to take away.
It is impossible to do without the men and women on the ground who are actually doing the hard work. They just want to be empowered to do their jobs. President Trump has made that possible. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for working hard on the American people's business. It's been an honor to be with you. It's been an honor to see what you do. And we're going to keep on supporting you over the next 4 years. As President Trump said last night at the State of the Union, it turns out we didn't need new laws. We didn't need fancy legislation. We just needed a new president of the United States, and thank God that's exactly what we have.
That audio came out really nice from that event. 2 days ago, Donald Trump told the mayor of Washington, D.C. to clear the homeless encampments around the city. Today, D.C. officials are doing just that. Trump 47 agenda is moving forward at remarkable pace. Leaning up the track and let the face. You gotta help these people. These people need help. They probably need substance abuse therapy, counseling, treatment. Many have mental, behavioral issues that should require them being in a facility. Some people can be rehabilitated, and some people might need to be cared for. You're not caring for somebody to just let them throw a tent up and sleep in squalor and on the street and turning tricks and high as a kite and committing crimes and leaving biohazard filth everywhere. It's not good for anyone. So let's turn it around. I would like to see Bobby Kennedy work with President Trump to maybe reverse some of the stuff that came in under the Reagan administration. Reagan's always blamed for shutting down the mental wards. I would like to see that a priority. Two things. I'd like to see Bobby Kennedy make getting the homeless off the streets into facilities so that they can be cared for a priority. And what was the other one? Help with Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, people who have been abused by their teachers, by the lying legacy media, by the Democrat Party, who have taught hatred and division for decades, to help these people get out of this self-defeating loop of lunacy. Well, we can only hope, right? I'm not entirely certain what this video is, if this is DC or not, but let's keep our eyes peeled, you know, let's take away the divisive stuff on the roads in DC. Let's clean up the trash. I mean, I went there, man, It was 2020 when I was there on 2021 on January 6th. But I mean, places were boarded up. It looked like something apocalyptic. It was really bad. So let's hope we can get America back on track in our big blue cities. David Harris Jr. saying these are the first jobs report numbers of the 47th administration. Government is down 7,000 workers. Manufacturing is up 10,000 workers. Auto jobs are up 9,000 workers. Is this the full story? Are these numbers accurate? What say you in the comments? The addition here, the analysis says Doge has reportedly saved $170 billion. We cannot go back. We need the Doge Act. She's got the cross on her forehead here.
Mr. Beer, I have a question for you because
this is Byron Donalds.
I understand Cato's perspective when it comes to illegal immigration. I understand that the Cato Institute for a long time has had a standard of actually having open immigration into the United States. Generally speaking, I don't want to get into specific.
We support legal immigration. We want immigration to be legal.
So let me ask you this question, because one of the great libertarians of the modern era, Milton Friedman, famously said, you can either have open borders or a welfare state, but you have to choose. Mr. Beer, what do you choose?
Milton Friedman said he wanted to allow illegal immigration to continue. I disagree with Milton Friedman's position on that. We should have legal immigration and build a wall around the welfare state, not around the country. That's in the best interest of taxpayers.
And I would argue that under the current system where you have sanctuary cities popping up, it is not possible to build that wall. So America has to choose. Mr. Beer, you're done. America has to choose between securing our nation or protecting the taxpayer. I choose secure the nation. I yield back. Mr. Beer.
Yeah, secure the nation. Put a bouncer. Hire a bouncer. Every bar needs one.
Essentially, Doge has found the coffin where the vampire sleeps.
Yeah. Two of them 250-year-old vampires, allegedly, right? One of them 300 years old. What was the final tally there on the Social Security numbers? What was it, 30 or 40 million people who are above 110 years old or something like that?
Yeah. We're reprogramming the matrix. Like, success was never one of the possible outcomes. There's a Kobayashi Maru situation.
Success was never one of the potential outcomes, the way things were going.
If you're in the matrix, success was never possible. The only way to achieve success is to reprogram the matrix such that success is one of the possible outcomes.
The Kobayashi Maru is a fictional test from Star Trek designed to assess how Starfleet cadets handle a no-win situation or a no-win scenario. It presents a lose-lose situation where any decision leads to failure, forcing leaders to confront the reality that sometimes no good options exist. The test isn't about winning, it's about evaluating a person's mindset, decision-making, and leadership under pressure. Captain Kirk famously cheated on the test by hacking the simulation, proving that he didn't believe in no-win situations. His mindset, if the game is rigged, change the game. It's a powerful metaphor for innovation, resilience, and thinking outside the box, a lesson that applies to everyone facing a so-called impossible challenge.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We may or may not succeed.
Well, it's certainly a lot of fun to watch. Essentially,
it's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. Button. There we go. I'm very grateful. I think we're on the best timeline right now. Donald Trump here says, President Trump, the head of the United Auto Workers of America just stated that tariffs are necessary to correct years of abuse of the USA by other countries and companies. We've lost 90,000 factories and plants since the beginning of NAFTA, and he is 100% correct. Yes, Kenneth the DJ. Hey, I'll take my Doge dividend check. Exactly. Yes, Ash Wednesday with the cross. Yes. I've never done that. I've never done the cross. A day of repentance, prayer, and fasting, where Christians reflect on their mortality and seek forgiveness for their sins, marks the first day of Lent. There you go. There's a good question of the day. How many of you put the cross on your head? In the comments, how many of you celebrated Ash Wednesday? I did not. But yeah, with NAFTA was not very beneficial to the United States. And we are still digging out from that mess. But it feels like for the first time in a long time, we're actually going for it. We're trying to put things back on a level playing field. And I'm here for it. Scott Bessent on CNBC.
Top 10% of Americans are 40 or 50% of consumption. And that is an unstable equilibrium. The bottom 50% of working Americans have gotten killed. We are trying to address that. We're trying to get rates down. And, could we be seeing that this economy that we inherited starting to roll a bit? Sure. And look, there's going to be a natural adjustment as we move away from public spending to private spending. The market and the economy have just become hooked. We've become addicted to this government spending, and there's going to be a detox period. Top 10%.
We had to get the spending under control. I mean, 36 trillion it's almost unpayable. It's almost too far gone to fix. Speaking about too far gone to fix, Justin Trudeau. Here we go. Rubin Report shares this. Ronald Reagan said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Here's Justin Trudeau.
On a personal level, I've made sure that every single day in this office, I put Canadians first. I put Canadians first.
Not a Canadian in sight. Allowed his nation to be invaded.
And that's why I'm here to tell you all.
He's
got you. On a personal level.
On my last few days of government. Yeah. How soon can this guy leave? We want strong neighbors to the north. Here's Democrat Representative of Aurora, Colorado, Jason Crow. Talk about not having strong leaders. Take a look at this guy.
Last night, Donald Trump once again attacked my community, the district that I'm proud to represent, Aurora, Colorado, my home. And I just wanted to correct the record. He has told terrible lies about migrants and refugees. He uses fear-mongering to divide our community and Americans against each other. And it's simply not true. I take public safety very seriously, and I work with local law enforcement and our community leaders to make sure that our community is always safe and no amount of crime is okay. But for him to attack immigrants and refugees in the way that he did and to say that there was some takeover of our community is false. Like so many of the things he did last night, they were lies and distortions meant to tear us apart and divide us against each other.
It's like he doesn't know that we have access to information.
And I'm always going to push back against it.
Gangs.
Last night,
it's like he doesn't think we have access to information. What a weirdo. Corey DeAngelis was this school choice. What's this thing? Okay. The School Administrators Union just turned off replies on their post that was bragging about separating people by race at their annual conference. AASA, for the first time at NCE 25, we're offering 2 affinity spaces for Latino, Latina educators and Black educators. Thrilled to see packed rooms this morning, filled with energy. Segregation, alive and well. The scenes in South Africa as Donald Trump suspends all federal funding following anti-white racism. And there are talks about bringing in refugees from South Africa that are being racially discriminated against and butchered into America. Keep our eye on that story. Borders are Tom Homan on Fox. He's laying out the stark difference between the last administration and what you're seeing with President Trump.
Trump did in 3 weeks what Joe Biden didn't do in 4 years. And that bipartisan border bill, look, I respect Senator Langford. He'd call me and walk through that bill with me. He asked me to support it. I said no. I'm not okay with 4,000 or 5,000 illegal aliens a day crossing this border as being normal. I don't want that in statute. I'm not okay with a bill that doesn't address sex trafficking of women and children. And right now, you look at the numbers, what President Trump has did, we went from an average at the highs of 10 to 11,000 a day under Biden to 200. 11,000 to 200. The gotaways that I spoke about, 1,800 on a day average under Joe Biden. You know what I saw the other day? 41. 1,800 to 41. We won't be happy if that number is zero, but look at the strides President Trump made in 3 weeks.
It is amazing.
We won't be happy until that number is zero. I like that.
Biden could have done. President Trump.
Yeah, but this is the Obama doctrine. He wants to flood nations with non-residents. Alan, what are you saying here? The Atlanta Fed is now saying GNP. What is that? Gross national product? Oh, yeah, there you go. It's at -5% because of so much government employment now getting cut. We all know government never produced anything. Yeah. I'm always in a race to find the nearest chair, that is. Wah, wah. All right, here is on the Daily Caller, Chris Cuomo.
Democrats gifted him a rare distinction.
Talking about President Trump during the speech to the joint session of Congress. He makes a really good point here. I like when you find some honest perspectives from the left. They seem like unicorns these days.
Certainly for this president. High ground. How? How do you give Trump high ground? By Democrats being the worst behaved caucus in that chamber in modern history. Congressman Al Green stood and jeered at the president, shaking a stick at him, which reminded me of a moment in our history that I'll get back to. He got kicked out. He may get censured for his disruptions. Other Democrats heckled the president, held up signs in silent protest saying Musk steals and no king. Many of them were wearing pink, which they declared a power color of resistance. Okay. Look, in my estimation, the Democrats achieved one thing. They made Trump seem classy by comparison. But
yeah, they seem classy in comparison. We just put it's time to shatter the Democrat Party into 1,000 pieces and scatter them to the wind.
You do something.
Yeah. Scott Jennings roasting Democrats for their cringe choose your fighter TikTok video.
Something creative, you're going to get criticism, right? But
people that say right. Don't do that. Can we decide as a society to stop doing that, right? I mean, we clearly saw what we saw, right? Don't do that.
Actually applaud them for trying to do something different. And here's the reality. 7 million followers, whether you think it's cringe or you like it, we're on CNN on a Thursday night, and we're talking about it on national TV.
Yeah. You're not talking about it in a good way.
But I guess my question is, to what end? I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I mean, maybe you will get 7 million eyeballs, but what is the point?
I am not accustomed to helping your party do anything.
Yep.
But let me give you some advice. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And if you read the comments today, Lord have mercy. Look, scrambling for new social media and communication strategies is not a replacement for fixing what's actually wrong. Your party has a 21% approval rating right now, congressional Democrats.
Well, let's talk about fixing what's wrong. Donald Trump is doing nothing for the American people.
And he has a 50% approval rating.
But he's doing nothing for the American people.
And so
he's not lowering the cost of living.
He
tells lies.
Fix the policy and leave the gimmicks behind.
Yes, and let's fix policy. Okay, why don't you do something creative?
Yeah, and don't talk over each other. Tim Burchett, man, he's been pretty good lately. If you're following him. You feel me, bro? What are some other axioms, some other phrases we'd like to get rid of? I think it's fair to say we should drop, if I'm being honest, or let me be honest. Like, hold on, well, you're implying that you're not normally honest? I was corrected with that one time and it stuck with me. I was like, I I didn't really. I think what I'm doing there, if I ever say something like that, I'm just trying to underline it, bold it, highlight it. Like, let me highlight this. Now, let me be honest. Like, they're just let me be blunt. Maybe that's it. Let me be blunt. Let me try to be pithy, concise, and very specific with what I mean. Now, let me be honest. We could ban that one too. So, Quiver Quantitative says Representative Tim Burchett has introduced a bill to ban stock trading by members of Congress and their families. Burchett does not own any stock per our portfolio tracking. Tim replied and goes, all of my money is in baseball cards and comic books. Baseball cards and comic books. How wild is that? It's not a bad idea. When the dollar falls, the price of those things go up oftentimes. President Trump being asked about this Ukraine-Russian war. Where are we at with it?
That's right.
Why not provide Ukraine with air defenses? And what happens, Mr. President, when Ukraine runs out of the Patriot missile batteries?
Good question. Because I have to know that they want to settle. I don't know that they want to settle. If they don't want to settle, we're out of there. Because we want them to settle. And I'm doing it to stop death. More important than anything else. Secondarily, way down the line is the money. So we're in for $350 billion, and Europe is in for $100 billion. They should be in for the same or more than us. And, you know, I watched over the last week or so what's going on in Europe. This thing could end up in World War III if we don't get it settled.
Ukraine.
Muted. There we go. Yeah, we don't want World War III. I mean, is it just time? You're going to have to go out and have an election. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Let's ask this question. So the Epstein file redactions went from redacting the information on victims. Remember, that's what they told you the first time, Pam Bondi? Now they're saying, oh no, we're redacting because of matters of national security. Matters of national security. Whose national security? Because I feel like if there's a blackmail ring happening, I'd sure love to expose the people behind it. Wasn't it Mossad? Wasn't this an Israeli operation? Isn't that known by everybody out there? Is that an unknown scenario? I'm open to interpretation. I'm open to feedback. Maybe that's correct. Maybe it's not. Change up the background. Bam. I like that background. We'll go with that. It's kind of busy, but what you doing, Pam Bondi? You keep lying to us week after week after week after week. First, you have the information on your desk. Then you're going to release it. Then you claim that there's somebody at Southern District, New York. They have it, and they're not going to give it. And instead of prosecuting the person for obstruction of justice or treason, you just say he needs to hand in his resignation. Then you say you have the information, and now you say you're going to redact a whole bunch of it to the point where you're going to release it, and we're not going to be able to read any of it, which defeats the purpose. We want the names, we want them now. The names of the people involved and the names of the governments involved. That's it. That's it. I don't understand what President Trump is doing by continuing to let Pam Bondi sit in that position. I'm calling for her resignation. This is lunacy. I don't believe her. I don't trust her. She was what? When she was in Florida, wasn't she a part of this story for many, many, many years, perhaps running cover to protect Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell? People that allegedly traffic children to no Johns. It was all for power and control, bribery and corruption. All of it. So come on, Bandy. Which nation? Bondi. I call her Bandy. Matters of national security. Which nation, Pam? Which nation? Here, let's say American national security would demand we hold another nation accountable if they are blackmailing us, our citizens. It isn't complicated. Time to replace Bondi? Maybe. Robbie Starbuck says, big news, the CDC is planning to carry out a study on potential links between vaccines and autism. By the way, that's a study from the CDC to look at if there's any potential links between autism and vaccines. That's not a claim that it does cause it, but we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it very closely. The media will predictably lose their minds because drug companies are their largest advertisers. Even the most pro-vax should want this studied in a manner that everyone can trust. Here's Reuters reporting, U.S. CDC plans a study into vaccines and autism. Long overdue. Thank you today. Just thank you. It is long overdue. I don't know that we've had the correct information. Yeah, we said this. LOL, race is such a dumb topic to insert into every story. CNN here shows a picture. There's a robot. It's a white robot with an American flag on the shoulder, a little bit of gold trim, gold pop on the shoulders, at the ears. CNN says, have you ever noticed the popularity of white robots? The reason for these shades of technological white, The reason for these shades of technological white may be racism, according to new research. Ken, not Ken Bloom. Well, maybe this is you, Ken. Is this you in the CNN thing? Was that you, Ken? Ken says, now imagine spray painting the robots black. CNN headline becomes, owning black robots may be a sign of being pro-slavery. And it's God, it's so true. If you live in the hood, you're gentrifying it. If you get the hell out of there, it's white flight. It's so stupid. It's all just grift. It's all just a scam. It's all such a scam. Bandying the truth like a volleyball. There you go. See, look at this. I love the clever plays on words, people. I love the clever plays on words. Pam Bandy. Bandy. Oh, my internet upload speed is atrocious right now. I just ran a test and it's under 1 megabit a second. Oh, hold on. Now it's at 395. It is so erratic. It is so frustrating. I was hoping it was fixed yesterday. Because I just glanced down and I saw like it was getting pixelated. The very end of my show yesterday got cut off for everybody that was in the room. Sorry about that. The Spectrum guy literally went out front and snapped the power off. He was making some repairs or something, or pretending to. Tulsi Gabbard revealing that the Biden administration, well, this is kind of what she's been talking about, and let her elaborate here. Talking with Laura Ingraham.
You were at the border yesterday, fabulous, yes, with the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense. Now, you revealed that the Biden administration, I didn't believe this headline, that they deported only 8 out of 100 illegals with ties to ISIS. That can't be. I mean, I actually can't even believe that's true. 8 out of 100?
I had the same doubts that you had when I got this information from our National Counterterrorism Center, because it is inconceivable to me to have a commander-in-chief and a president who would knowingly return those who are either known or suspected terrorists, or those who had very close ties with known or suspected terrorists, back onto our streets in their country. But unfortunately, it's exactly what happened. There were over 400 illegal immigrants who came from Central Asia into our country. Of those, there were hundreds who had either ties to terrorists or were terrorists themselves. As you said, the Biden administration arrested a bunch and then let them all go back into our country, other than 8. So this is where we are working very closely with the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, with our National Counterterrorism Center, to make sure that we find them, that we remove them, and that we have the vetting in place to action, to take this action to remove those from our country immediately who pose a threat.
You were
madness. That's why I said, be ready, be prepared. Always kind of have a plan. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't bury your head in your phone. Like, just be alert of your surroundings. You never know when you might have to spring into action to help yourself and your loved ones. Charlie Kirk says Politico has not one, not two, but 5 reporters covering the fallout of Gavin Newsom's comments about men and women's sports during my interview with him. Lori Lightfoot says he's disgusting. Protecting women is disgusting. These people are out of their minds. Sacramento, hey, here you go, Deb. Sacramento is in an uproar. Democrats all over the country say this issue is a litmus test for the party going forward. Democrats simply cannot hide taking an L in the culture war. Is this the clip? Newsom's move on trans athletes jolts the 2028 campaign. Some have blamed the party's position on trans athletes in sports for their poor electoral performance in November. Yeah. You think? This Obama doctrine to like fixate on this issue? I mean, you know, like Scott Jennings says, far be it from me to give you any unsolicited advice. I don't want you to do better. But if you want to do better, you got to drop this madness. Why were the sexes separated in the first place? Because that was the smart thing to do. This was pretty good. Maybe I'll play this as my moment of zen. How about that? Well, I'm not calling it a moment of zen. Question of the day: what should I call my segment where I try to end on a funny note? I like this comedian Godfrey. Yeah, EXX alerts says Pam Bondi says the Epstein files will now be redacted due to national security concerns. Douglas McGregor, what the hell is going on? Man, I'm so not happy with this. All right, yeah, I will keep this queued up as there we go. Okay, we will do that next. We will save that for the conclusion of today's show. Let's go over here to our X feed. Make sure you're following the New American Media at American_media_. Watch our documentary, Hurricane Helene, Help on the Way. If you haven't even gone to X and clicked it, click the heart, click the share, please. We appreciate that. Department of Government Efficiency says HUD completed the same okay, hold on. Agencies often have more software licenses than employees, and the licenses are often idle, i.e. paid for but not installed on any computer. For example, at GSA with 13,000 employees, there are 37,000 WinZip licenses, 19,000 training software subscriptions, 7,500 project management software seats for a division with 5,500 people, 3 different ticketing systems running in parallel. HUD completed the same audit. Initial findings, 35,000 ServiceNow licenses on 3 products using only 84 of them. Oh my goodness. That's essentially 36,000 wasted licenses. 11,000 wasted Acrobat licenses with 0 users. My God, this corruption is crazy. Somebody had to pay for this, and someone's running through the budget and looking at this, aren't they? How in the world could people be looking at this? Anyway, a whole bunch of licenses, wasted money. Elon says there are vast numbers of unused software in every part of the government. Your tax dollars are being wasted. So let's look at this Zero Hedge article. Could a bombshell discovery render all of Joe Biden's presidential actions null and void? The Biden presidency, written by Tyler Durden, of course, the Biden presidency might have been the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the American people. A shocking investigation by the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project has revealed that virtually every document bearing Joe Biden's signature during his presidency was signed by an auto pen, except for one. What makes this revelation particularly damning is that the only document confirmed to have Biden's actual signature was his letter announcing his withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. Let that sink in. Remember when House Speaker Mike Johnson revealed that his discussion with Biden when Biden couldn't recall signing the executive order halting LNG exports? Now we know why. He probably didn't. The real question is, who did? Who was running our country while Biden was not all there? Oversight project here is showing whoever controlled the auto pen controlled the presidency. There we go. Maybe I can go side by side. Doggone it. Maybe like that. Maybe like that. Here we go. Wait, where did it go? Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't sharing this article. It opened up a new tab. I thought I was showing you that one. Okay. We gathered every document we could find with Biden's signature over the course of his presidency. All used the same auto pen feature except for the announcement that the former president was dropping out of the race. Oh my gosh, it took me to another tab. Here's the auto pen signature. Okay, that's the auto pen signature. /R Biden Jr. Does that say junior? Is he a junior? And then this one is a different signature. There's an underline. Huh. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey asked the DOJ to investigate whether Biden's cognitive mental decline allowed unelected officials to make decisions without his knowledge or approval. If that's the case, Biden's executive orders, pardons, and other actions may be unconstitutional and void. What a plot twist, people. What a plot twist. Oh, Ron here is saying, hey, remember the plane crash a few years ago in Hawaii when the only person who died also happened to be the clerk who verified Obama's birth certificate is real? Remember that story? I remember that. Hey, there you go. That's exactly what we're talking about, Bella's choice. Can I go side by side? Oh, I missed side by side. Yeah, the greatest con job on the American people was Obama. Deb, the puppet masters must be losing their minds. LOL, their strings have been cut off. Deb wasn't con. She knew it was obvious it was rigged, stolen, and that he was a puppet. HUD 1, HUD 2, HUD. HUD. Yeah. All right, let's go back to this one. So there you go. Brian Cates says, I told everybody at the time the pardons were issued, that the fact of Joe Biden's mental decline would be proven one way or another in such a manner that would invalidate most, if not all, of his official actions while in office. You don't need to prove first that Biden was illegitimately awarded the 2020 election win in order to invalidate all the executive actions of his administration. Proving that he never should have been handed the office due to a rigged election can come later. If you can prove he wasn't really functioning as president and staff members were doing his job for him. If you can prove he didn't really sign anything, well, except for one thing. Wink. I also told you at the time that special counsel Robert Hur released his report, establishing it quite officially on the federal record that Joe Biden had serious cognitive issues, would come back to haunt the people behind the curtains who were really running the Biden administration. The fact that we had an incompetent chief executive for most, if not all, of Biden's 4 years in the White House, and this was successfully hidden from the American public, triggers a retroactive invocation of the 25th Amendment. Once it's proven in court, this massive and unconstitutional fraud conspiracy is real. I told you Trump was right when he said he was in no danger whatsoever from the 25th Amendment, but that the 25th Amendment will come back to haunt Joe Biden. And it will, man. It will. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that story. You have this teacher. Well, I mean, how would you feel if this was your teacher, the teacher of your child? There's a good question, huh? How would this make you feel?
What's up? We are back at school. Honestly, this is the first time in a while that I've actually was excited to be back because it's nice to be in a space that I'm a little bit more affirmed in my identity. It makes a big difference. 2025 already feels a bit like a dumpster fire, but here to mitigate that, I have tried to create, and we'll see how it goes, a legal defense clinic. Papers feel like an insurmountable task, especially legal papers. It took me forever to do my name change because of that. So in partnership with Educator Defense, we are working to create this legal defense clinic where trans and immigrant educators can come and get their papers in order. But it is now open to everyone, so you do not need to be an educator to come and have a place to get your questions answered, to just sit down and maybe just body double and get this stuff done. Starts at 10 o'clock. We're going to start off with a Know Your Rights presentation, and from there on out, it's your space to work. So come on out. What's up? We are back at school. Honestly, this is the first time.
How does this make you feel? A little uncomfortable? A little inappropriate? I mean, how does that make you feel, this whole thing? These are the people that have access to your kids for hours and hours and hours every single day. If it's not letting you feel some kind of way, I don't know what. Whoa. I don't know what you're doing. It's Pat. That is very. A good reference. Great reference for that clip. This one here, Kaylin Georgescu officially submitted his candidacy for the Romanian president. Massive crowd waiting outside to support him. And Georgescu is like the Trump. He's the one that cares about his country, and he's not a fan of allowing his country to get taken over. So now I'm starting to understand it. Yeah. Make you feel some sort of way. President Trump was asked about J.D. Vance. Will he be the heir apparent in 2028? Well, he said, no, but he's been doing a good job. And I went, what is that about? Well, Mario Nafal is saying that Trump dynasty, maybe Don Jr. for 2028. Maybe. Don Jr. is reportedly weighing a 2028 presidential run, and it's got the political world buzzing. Question of the day: how would you feel about Donald Trump Jr. running for president in 28? How would you feel about that? I am okay. I'm listening. I mean, is J.D. Vance cut out for it? Would Don Jr. be better for it? I don't know. I don't want to see the two fighting. Whatever is set in motion, I want them not do what Donnie don't does. They could have made this a little easier, less complicated. I don't want to see what Ron DeSantis did when he started backstabbing President Trump. It was a bad look. Not good. With Don Jr.'s deep MAGA roots, a massive online following, and years as his father's top advisor, Don Jr. has the influence and firepower to carry the movement forward. Insiders say he won't run for VP, only the top job. And with his role expanding in diplomacy and policy, his path to 28 is wide open. The left is panicking. Their establishment is sweating. Trump's legacy is just getting started. That's from Mediaite. What do you guys think? Kenneth, there we go. I'm stopping the presses right here. Bam. You'd rather have Trump Sr.? When I read the headline, I'm like, wait, is this saying that Trump is trying to do a third term? Because you've heard people saying, oh, and Trump has teased that. Hey, maybe I'll have a third term. It's like, But Kenneth, I think you're onto something. Sorry, no. Only Engelman 2028. Would I want to do it? Could I do it? I don't know if there's a pathway for me to get Mitch McConnell's seat. They're trying to put Daniel Cameron in there. I don't know that I really like Daniel Cameron. I don't know that he really handled the Breonna Taylor situation all that well. He's got the notoriety and the funding. I don't know. Maybe I should run. Should I run for Senate? Should I try to get Mitch McConnell's seat? How wild would that be? You're right, though, Deb. Trump is the Energizer Bunny. Not ever ready. Energizer. Boom, 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 boom. Those were the best commercials, those Energizer commercials. Where the commercial would end and then it would go to like some brand new commercial and then the bunny would just cruise through that was great marketing. I call that smarketing. Smart marketing. Smarketing. Sausages. Bella's chance. There you go. Your initial feeling is no thank you on Don Jr. Vance is your leaning in these early times. Yeah, we just have a natural inclination. I was working a job and the person running the department left. And I said, oh, well, I guess this will be me to step up and take this role. Instead, it was a coup from someone who was in another division that took over 2 or 3 different divisions. A lot of people got axed in a reorg, and it was a mess. And I was like, oh, wow. I thought I was the de facto leader of this division since I was a successful member of the team. I thought it was my position to have. It's not like I wasn't creating results, but sometimes things get wonky during a reorg. That's the facts. So I'm open to it. Yeah, so I'm open to it. I'm listening. Here we go. Joe Rogan and Elon talking about how the rich are getting richer, how they're scamming the system.
Have a spouse that's really good at insider trading.
In Congress.
Have a spouse that's really good at insider trading.
Yeah.
Like Paul Pelosi.
It's a lot more than insider trading.
The way they're acquiring wealth.
Correct.
And what other methods?
I mean, this is really going to get me assassinated. It's like I'm not lengthening my lifespan by explaining this stuff, to say the least. I mean, I was supposed to go back to D.C. How am I going to survive? This fucker's going to kill me for sure. I actually have to be careful that I don't push too hard on the corruption stuff because it's going to get me killed.
Have a spouse
that is terrifying. Who else is feeling these kind of vibes like this lady? Here we go.
I voted for Democrats my whole life. They never did anything they promised.
Actually, in the comments, how many of you that are here today, I'm assuming most of you are not Democrats. Is there anybody here that used to be a regular Democrat voter? I never have been. Not ever. I think I voted for one Democrat once. For the mayor of my college town. I met him personally, and I'm like, he seems like a kindly gentleman. I could vote for that man. That was like the one Democrat I voted for. I had to have voted for more than one. Because I try to vote in a lot of elections, but I've been all out on that party probably most of my life. But I'm curious how many of you used to vote that way and made a change.
They would come to the black church and sing some Negro spirituals with us and then disappear, peer. Once they got our vote, they never did anything they promised. I vote for a Republican once in my life, and this dude done did everything he promised on steroids. He ain't even been in office 2 months, and everything I voted for, I'm getting. It's amazing. Do he sleep? Like this dude, if he sleep.
Do he sleep? I got a favorite quote with a friend of mine. People don't think it be like that, but it do. Do he sleep? That's a great line. I think that should be put on merchandise or something, like shared as a meme. Do he sleep?
I vote for a Republican once in my life, and this dude done did everything he promised on steroids. He ain't even been in office 2 months, and everything I voted for, I'm getting. It's amazing. Do he sleep? Like this dude, if he sleeps, he wake up on a mission to do what Nakia voted for. He said, Nakia want me to fix that border? I'm on it. Nakia want to make sure them tax dollars is being spent for Americans more than anybody else? I'm on it.
I'm on it.
This dude wakes up, I feel like, with me in mind. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he be thinking about me. It's like being at the casino. You put in that Democrat coin, you put it in and you pull the thing and you're going to win. You're going to win. You put in another Democrat coin and you pull the thing and no, you didn't win. You put in that Republican coin. I put in a Republican coin for the first time. Pulled the ding, 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 ding. I freaking won. Wow.
We all won.
So you know what that tells me? That tells me to never vote for Democrats again in life.
Amen.
Ever.
Amen. Never.
Because
ever.
you're not going to win with them. I voted for a Republican once.
But to be fair, you didn't vote for a Republican. You voted for a MAGA. You voted for King Keck. You voted for the Don, the leader of the MAGA party. The MAGA party had to overthrow the Republican Party. The Republican Party of Cheney and Bush and Kinzinger and Romney, McCain. You would have been very disappointed. Well, and you were disappointed with Bush. Trump is not your average Republican. Please don't get it twisted. MAGA is very different than the Republicans. Just a little point of clarification.
And hit the jackpot, honey. I will continue to do that again and again and
Do he sleep? I want to hear it again.
with us and then disappear, peer. They never did anything they promised.
One more time.
They would come to the black church and sing some Negro spirituals with us and then disappear, peer. Once they got our vote, they never did anything they promised. I vote for a Republican once in my life.
Where's it at?
And this dude done did everything he promised on steroids. He ain't even been in office 2 months. And everything I voted for, I'm getting. It's amazing. Do he sleep? Like,
do he sleep?
It's amazing. Do he sleep? Like,
I love it. It's pretty good. Anyway, there's our show from yesterday, interviewing Adam Kokesh. That was when we were both on the steps of City Hall in Los Angeles, demanding that they do something about the homeless problem. But we talked about a lot of different things yesterday. Yeah, End Wokeness put this out. Representative Steve Cohen, and End Wokeness says, how is this not a skit from South Park? Here, let me go full scare. Let's go this way. How is this not a skit from South Park?
Congressman, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
Congressman, why should men be in women's sports?
Shorts?
Sports. Why do you think
they should not be in shorts?
Congressman, how are you?
This really is like a skit with Timmy.
Congressman, why should men be in women's sports?
Shorts?
Sports. Why do you think
they should not be in shorts?
Congressman.
It's absurd. Riley Gaines puts out here, Peyton McNabb, the volleyball player who was permanently injured by a male player, was kicked out of her sorority after filming a man in her restroom because she felt unsafe. This is what is this what sisterhood stands for? Delta, Zeta, and National? You're a disgrace to women. What was this?
What are you doing?
Going to the bathroom?
Why are you in the girls' bathroom?
I'm a trans girl.
But you're not a girl.
Oh, we're doing one of these.
Yeah.
Interesting. Never had this before. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, I pay a lot of money to be safe in the bathroom.
Me too. Excuse me. Rude.
Do you think that's okay? What are you doing? girls' bathroom.
I'm a trans girl.
But you're not a girl.
Oh, we're doing one of these.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing one of these. You mean a reality check?
Interesting. Never had this before. I don't know what to say.
You don't know what to say. You've been using the men's bathroom for a long time. You could say, oops, I went in the wrong door.
So you feel that way?
Yeah, I pay a lot of money to be safe in the bathroom.
Me too.
Well, there we are. Kicked out of her sorority. Delta Zeta, people. Delta Zeta. Illuminati bot sharing this here. Alex calling this a death cult. Saying it's not a climate crisis, it's a mental health crisis. They bought clothes that they didn't need. Exploited the planet and wasted fuel. Funding climate hell. I mean, all right. It really is a cult. It's cultish behavior. Yeah, there's the side-by-side. Jason Crow. Yep, CDC planning to study vaccines and autism from the New York Post. There you go. Luke saying, good to see what actually happens here, finally. Liz Cronkin reporting on those triangle-shaped pieces of baked bread with tomato sauce and cheese on them. And John Podesta and Hillary Clinton. The staffer Tamara Luzzatto. It's a story that we're not allowed to mention. Oh, they did a good job covering this story up, didn't they? Well, the story's back. The story's back. Take a look. We shared it. Liz Crokin still talking about. She's been talking about this story forever. Good, because you can't let this stuff go. There is something deeply disturbing happening. And all you got to do, it's like the border. All you got to do is do the right thing. It's not rocket science. So, FBI Director Kash Patel here saying, breaking. I can now report that today, the FBI, along with our interagency partners led by AG Pam Bondi, arrested 2 active duty U.S. Army soldiers and 1 former U.S. Army soldier for theft of government property and a bribery scheme. These individuals have been charged with stealing America's defense intelligence capabilities and empowering adversaries like China in the betrayal of our country, and they will now face American justice. It is time for heads to roll in the legal system. It is time for indictments. Yes, Kenneth. It is time for the indictments. It is time to go after the treasonous acts of those that are trying to ruin this country. You got one job. Let's go get them. Go get them. Representative Tim Burchett, Wall Street Apes, breaking this down. He says he's willing to lose his job to tell us the real reason government officials are opposing Elon Musk and Doge. They're going to push back because you've got congressmen on both sides of the aisle. If they follow that paper trail, it's going to come back to them. You've got their wife and or girlfriend that works for some agency, quasi-agency, or some business. This town's as crooked as a dog's leg. I'll get primaried for saying that, but that's the truth, and we all know it. Somebody's going to straighten it out, and it looks like it's going to be Elon Musk. Bravo, Tim Burchett. Protect this man. You know, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, creator of the universe, grand architect of the universe, any spiritual deity that you choose to close your eyes and think to, please protect all of the good people trying to stop waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption and treasonous activities in this country from any harm. May any attempt to harm these good people be met with a bounce back effect, 5-fold in strength on the person trying to harm those who would poison or destroy my brothers. And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. Amen. Oh, here's TV's Blake Wally. James O'Keefe said, as an exercise, make a list of 10 people in political media who are most certainly not grifters. My bet is you'll struggle to get 5. No, I'm not a grifter. I pass around the collection plate at the end of my sermon. I tell you that I'm on Patreon. I tell you that I'm on Venmo at Brian Engelman, PayPal at Fuzz Installment, and Cash App $ Brian Engelman. But grifting is different. Grifting is definitely different. TV's Blake Wally said something differently here. He goes, I've been one of the most original voices in political media since 2011. Quit my job and sold my home to cover the 2016 election. Did great work, but was censored, shunned, ignored, and scorned. Went through hell and bankruptcy, and I'm still starving artist creating content for free. That's the life that we do. So, yeah, the new American media. You know, we are the media now. There's plenty of non-grifters. Who else? There's a question of the day. You type in the comments, type non-grifter and put some names. Who would you consider to be a non-grifter in the current media landscape? And if you want to give some names of the worst grifters, type worst grifter and put some of those names in. I'd love to come back in a minute or two and read a few of those. People you really like and people you're really not a fan of. Brian Cates continued here. Say, anybody else figure out yet why President Donald J. Trump has signed everything on camera, with the hostile media watching him like a hawk, barking questions at him? Here's another question for you. Remember that big photo op Biden day one signing of a huge stack of executive orders back on January 20, 2021 in the Oval Office? If the Heritage Oversight investigation is accurate and Biden only officially signed one document in the 4 years he was in the White House, his letter dropping out of the presidential race, you know, the letter where he endorsed Kamala, here's my question. What were you actually watching happen in the Oval Office on January 20th, 2021 as Joe Biden signed that tall stack of executive orders? This is about to get very interesting. Eric Daughtry reporting the Trump administration's DHS just ended collective bargaining for TSA officers. DHS says, shockingly, TSA had more people doing full-time union work than actually performing security functions at 86% of airports. Who is surprised? Plus 60% of poor performers were allowed to stay employed. Wow. What's happening in South Africa right now is insane. If Trump wasn't elected, it could have been our blueprint. Here's Dave Rubin saying there's 140 race-based laws in South Africa, and they're all anti-white.
140.
By the way, this is the Obama doctrine. Anger and rage at people that don't look like him. Oh, he wears a nice suit. He's very professional when he decides to talk, and maybe gives off presidential vibes. However, his radical Marxist bent definitely gives away his Leninist intentions.
140 race-based laws in South Africa.
Laws.
All anti-white.
Laws.
And 8 days ago, Cyril Ramaphosa, our president, signed into law, and just hear these three words: expropriation without compensation. And this is just the straw that broke the camel's back. There's been
that's called theft.
Endless laws, anti-white, boiling us like a frog in a bowl. And all I can say is thank you, America, and thank you, Donald Trump, for taking notice, because we are on the edge of the socialist abyss.
So how do you guys get out of this? Obviously, there's a complex racial history there. How do you reverse some of this? I mean, that's an awful lot of laws, and
I don't think we can internally. We have to wait till the 2029 national election, and I don't think our economy will survive. It requires some external dynamic to change it. And I think Donald Trump and America taking notice and coming in swinging with a baseball bat may be that dynamic we need.
So when you saw over the last couple of years in America, wokeness infecting our systems, and suddenly we were focused on race, and we were putting it into it was this very people who said we were systemically racist that were putting racism into the system in a systemic way. It must have given you a little concern about the direction we're going, as much as that's now been rolled back.
Well, we've been infected in South Africa with the evil woke mind virus.
The Obama doctrine.
Way more than in America. We've got it ×2, and there's no momentum in South Africa to reverse it. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
And that's why Trump's getting involved, and Elon being from there getting involved. It'd be a really good idea to kind of drop all this really toxic, divisive, destructive stuff that's infected our planet. Here's something you've seen this story, maybe. Where's the recall? Okay, here we go. Yeah, we've been having conversations about this guy. I'm not familiar with him, but he was on with Rogan. A lot of people I'm talking to don't trust him. He's putting some incorrect stuff out. Something about how I don't know. I'm not super familiar, this Ian guy. But MJ Truth Ultra says the day after Kash Patel was confirmed as FBI director, Patriot Front disbands. Welp, conspiracy theorists were right again. Our friend Ford Fisher, with news to share, he says this isn't actually true. Patriot Front has marched in multiple cities since Kash Patel has been in charge of the FBI. Des Moines Register, Boston.com, Post and Courier, Columbia. And there's pictures and whatnot. So I submitted a community note, and I linked it to this tweet. So we'll see if we're able to get some stuff on there. Did you notice this? This woman stripped naked during a Southwest flight from Houston to Phoenix on Monday. She paraded around the plane for 25 minutes before authorities intervened. Houston police detained her for medical evaluations. Unclear if charges will be filed. And anyway. Starlink is not allowed to operate in South Africa because he's not black. Come on, people. Do better. That's nuts. Hey, here's a reminder. Hey, remember how Steele dossier was fabricated by Hillary and Democrat law firm Perkins Coie to illegally spy on President Trump? He just signed an executive order suspending security clearances for employees at Perkins Coie. He's going after these people.
Sir, your administration has made it a priority both to end lawfare and the weaponization of government, and also to hold those who have engaged in lawfare accountable. One of the law firms that has been involved in that is called Perkins Coie. That's also a law firm that has engaged in unlawful DEI practices. This executive order will suspend security.
And I've watched it take place.
This executive order will suspend security clearances and access to certain federal resources.
I love that we get these regular interactions with the press, with the president. I love the Gulf of America right there. It is the continent of America. It makes way more sense. God, it feels like there's an adult in charge again. Someone that really knows how to handle things. I can't describe how good it feels.
For that law firm, and also launch a holistic review of unlawful DEI practices at some of the nation's largest law firms.
This is an absolute honor to sign. What they've done is it's just terrible. It's weaponization. You could say weaponization against a political opponent, and it should never be allowed to happen again. And you're looking at about 15 different firms?
That or more, sir, yes.
Okay.
Cool signature. Cool pen that he uses. I don't know if that really looks like it says Donald J. Trump, though. Brian Cates saying, should I do a CIA law firm of Perkins Coie next? Here's the Clinton campaign's dirty tricks plan for the 2016 election cycle. Perkins Coie, Fusion GPS, the Steele dossier hoax, the Alpha Bank hoax, the illegal database spying. Yeah, go after these people because they're going to try something like this again if you don't hold them accountable. Here's Matt Gaetz discussing
Hillary Clinton donors
with Tucker. Just so for context, it's an important story.
Hillary Clinton donors acquitted a lawyer called Michael Sussman of lying to the FBI. Now, who's Michael Sussman? Sussman is a former partner at the law firm Perkins Coie, the biggest Democratic firm, the firm that represented Hillary Clinton's campaign. And in that capacity at Perkins Coie, Sussman laundered false information about the Trump campaign to the FBI. So a pretty tight relationship between Sussman and the FBI. We're learning tonight much more about the connection between the FBI and Sussman's former law firm, Perkins Coie. Congressman Matt Gaetz and Jim Jordan have just received a letter from Perkins Coie's attorneys. This show can report exclusively that in that letter, Perkins Coie admits the FBI has maintained a, quote, secure work environment within Perkins Coie offices for more than a decade, going back to 2012.
How weird.
What? According to the letter, quote, Perkins Coie is responsible to the FBI for maintaining the secure work environment. That workspace, whatever it is still in operation today. Ever heard of anything like this? No one we spoke to has. Matt Gaetz is the man who found this. He's, of course, member of Congress from the state of Florida. He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. This is bizarre. Tell us what it is and what you think it means.
We got a report from a whistleblower that we confirmed through multiple admissions, including this letter, showing that the Democrat Party's law firm, the law firm that received $42 million from the Democratic Party, has this co-located workspace that they operate in concert with the FBI. Why in the world would that be the case? Why would Christopher Wray allow it to continue? Then you also have to ask yourself, why within the last 12 months was the person on behalf of Perkins Coie operating that work site Michael Sussman himself? And we heard through this trial that you just referenced that the FBI believed Michael Sussman was lying to them in 2017 when he was shuttling false information about Trump into the intelligence process. And now we learned for...
Yeah. I mean, Trump was set up every which way. 6 ways from Sunday, as Chuck Schumer would say. It's time to finally go after and indict these people. You have to hold them accountable for these actions. What they did was so far beyond the pale. They're going to keep doing it if they don't have, if their feet aren't held to the fire, if they're not indicted.
4 years after that lie, Michael Sussman was in fact operating this secure work environment. So what reason would there be for that, and what leverage would the Perkins law firm have over the FBI given this work they're doing together?
So I know that this story, to the extent they can, will be ignored by the media. And to the extent they can't ignore it, they'll say, well, this is just normal. There are good reasons for this. So you're an attorney. You serve with a lot of other attorneys. This is not normal, correct?
I have spoken to former federal prosecutors on the Judiciary Committee and throughout the country, and I have not heard any describe a relationship like this with a private law firm, and especially because Michael Sussman was an election lawyer. Why in the world would an election lawyer be operating this facility in this way? And our concern is that politically motivated dirt was being converted into politically motivated investigations. That's why Jim Jordan and I are making demands for answers on Christopher Wray immediately. And it's my hope, certainly, that we shut this facility down. The Democratic Party shouldn't have this special access, special portal to the FBI, especially knowing what we do now, that they were often trying to take this opposition research and then use that for law enforcement and counterintelligence purposes.
Yeah, you can't politicize the country's biggest law enforcement agency. I mean, that's completely third world, and you've borne the brunt of that, as we both know. Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, I appreciate you breaking that story for us tonight. Thank you. Amazing.
So now we're getting an update on that. That's pretty good. Let me show you this. Uh-oh, Bill Nye just did the salute. Uh-oh, says Elon. Oh, my goodness. He did the thing. He moved his arm. How dare he move his arm? How dare he move his arm? We should breathlessly report this nonstop. I think that'd be funny. This right now, Dan Scavino reporting.
Unlike any other trophy, there is a key.
President Trump signed an executive order establishing White House task force for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. It's a big deal to come to America.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
It's a big deal.
Wow.
We should have it more often than almost never. I think it's kind of cool.
Wow. That is something, huh?
We got to win now.
Now we got to win.
So this is a good one.
That's beautiful.
Inter Miami and Seattle Sounders play.
Never seen anything like that.
It is it's a trophy of the future.
Yeah,
It represents the past, the future, and the present. present.
And this will be at the White House for a little while. So if anybody needs a picture or anything, you can take it.
If you like it, Mr. President, you can stay here just on the 13th of July. You should take it with me.
Let's leave it here.
To the stadium to give it to the winners. They can take a picture, then we bring it back here after the picture.
Let's do that. We'll leave it here. We'll have it in the White House quite a bit.
Excellent.
It travels a little bit also, but I appreciate it. That's good. And now this can definitely stay, right? Thank you, Johnny, very much. Congratulations.
That's good. I mean, like, look, bringing good things to the country, it's pretty neat. Bill Nye the Hail Guy. Beyond the pale, behold the pale horse. So anyway, that was just happening. Wanted to show you that. Anything else I wanted to get to? Polish Prime Minister David Tusk announcing today during a speech to Polish Parliament that efforts are underway to prepare large-scale military training for every adult male in Poland as a result of the security situation in Europe, further stating that the Polish army needs to increase in size from 200,000 to 500,000. Tusk also appeared to express support for Poland's development of nuclear weapons, saying to Parliament, Poland must pursue the most advanced capabilities, including nuclear and modern unconventional weapons, from OSINT Defender. 151,000 jobs added in February, Trump's first jobs report of the second term. Yeah, Donald Trump here is now pausing all federal funding to South Africa because of how they're attacking farmers, and he's offering asylum to any farmer family wanting to escape to America. This is leadership. South Africa is being terrible, plus to longtime farmers in the country. They are confiscating their land and farms, and much worse than that. A bad place to be right now, and we are stopping all federal funding. To go a step further, any farmer with family from South Africa seeking to flee that country for reasons of safety will be invited into the United States of America with a rapid pathway to citizenship. This process will begin immediately. Man, what a shame. Hey, you want to hear somebody absolutely butcher an answer about men and women's sports? Cory Booker, everyone. Wait, no. I said Cory Booker. This is Hakeem Jeffries. Why did I say Cory Booker? Don't say it. Here we go.
I want to ask about California Governor Gavin Newsom's comments saying that Democrats were in the wrong for allowing transgender athletes to compete in female and girls sports. What is your response to that after Democrats had opposed the women and girls in sports?
I haven't seen his comments. What Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
What?
Predators on girls. Sexual
what?
Was unleashing, but Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
That makes no sense. This is why the Democrat Party is completely rudderless. Rudderless. Portland area woke county commissioner Melissa Fireside indicted with 8 felonies for allegedly stealing tens of thousands of dollars from an 83-year-old man through identity theft. Fireside is a vocal supporter of BLM. Andy No reports. Good grief. Oh, she's angry today, mainly because the get-rich scheme is coming apart. What's the point of going into politics if you can't loot the taxpayer? Why be a Democrat if you can't retire with millions of dollars? Hell hath no fury like a politician exposed. Here we go.
I am angry today. I am angry what I saw, that president of the United States who ran and had people vote for him because
he ran and had people vote for him? Oh, head for the hills, Ma Barker, head for the hills. He ran and had people vote for him. Look at this angry, bitter. Look at that morose MFer right there.
Because he said he was going to cut their costs. He was going to make sure they had a chance at the...
Look at that face. She's like a Halloween costume. These are such bad actors.
American dream has come in with an unelected richest man on earth and
with an unelected richest man on earth. Yeah. President Trump appoints the people that are going to work with him at his pleasure. He can remove them at any time. That's what it is. You don't vote for people to join him. They join him. They work with him. The Congress thing is a little weird with the secretary appointments, because they do vote, but then like I kept reading that they didn't have to actually approve them. There's like other methods you could use to get them into those positions. Just this unelected thing is so weird. It's like, yeah, oh my gosh, he's a billionaire. Yeah, I'd rather trust someone successful who knows how to cut wasteful spending, as he's proven to know how to do, and innovate. Yeah, that's exactly who I want in government. Look at this angry face.
Taking a chainsaw to everything we care about, everything the American.
Taking a chainsaw to everything we care about. You think we care about putting shrimp on a treadmill? You think we care about condoms to Mozambique? You think that we care about K-cups, cinnamon K-cups, spending $190,000 a month on an office that's 90% empty every month? Like, no, we don't care about these things. We want these things all gone. We don't need an Iraqi Sesame Street. We don't need transgender mice. We're good.
People put their trust in him to do. It is a betrayal. It is a betrayal. So let's not talk about decorum.
No, we can talk about decorum. You guys embarrassed yourselves.
When the plot is exposed and reiterated every single day.
Yeah, the plot of how you're all robbing us blind in treasonous acts, that's exposed every day.
You take people's health care, you take our veterans' benefits, you take funding for our public schools, and you
good grief. What a weird creature this lady.
Do it all of it, to give a tax cut to the very wealthiest people who won't even notice it, but whose greed knows no bounds. Amen.
Amen. That's why the Democrat Party is rudderless. Hear this story? Let's take a listen to this story.
That could 30 years ago, ranchers were kicked off their land here to protect an endangered species. But now that same land is being bulldozed for a massive housing development that could double the population of the small town of Leeds. So residents here are wondering, was this land really protected or just reserved for the right price? Back in the 90s, the government rescinded ranchers' permits here in Leeds, saying they had to stop grazing cattle because it was a threat to the endangered desert tortoise habitat.
That's the same crap they did when Blake and I went out to the Bundy Ranch outside of Las Vegas. Those videos are all on YouTube. Bureau of Land Management. I mean, these ranchers have been grazing. They got cattle walking around nibbling on some shrubberies, like no big deal. But they wanted to ruin their lives then, change everything. And they went in and it got bad. They were shooting cows from helicopters. They were sicking German shepherds onto pregnant ladies. And it came down to an armed standoff. It was really tense. I felt very uncomfortable there. They were pointing at, yeah, there's snipers up there on that mountain right there at that crest. They're over there. These were the helicopters were flying over, all of it. And the story was that Harry Reid was behind it. I don't know where that story's at today, but I mean, that Bundy Ranch story got really weird quick. But, you know, when people are getting kicked out of their area, you got to wonder, what is the real agenda at play?
Pam Johnson's family lost their permit, which they paid nearly $50,000 for and was supposed to last for 99 years. They also had to sell their cattle to then pay for that permit. But today, bulldozers are ripping through that same protected land to make way for homes, hotels, and retail stores. Pam is furious. She told me that that land should never have been bulldozed, and if it was protected, it should have stayed protected. So the question is, what has changed? Town officials told me that once this land was sold to a private developer, the developer has a legal right to build. The mayor said that the town needs this tax revenue and that revenue will help with some necessary infrastructure improvements. For Johnson and other residents here in Leeds, the contradiction is glaring, and they fear that with the zoning changes already passed in August, that it's too late for this land and the tortoises that live here to be saved.
Yeah, I don't like when government does stuff like this at all. We got to talk about it, right? We got to talk about it. President Trump here talking about the would-be assassins. What are we going to find out about this?
It's been 7 months. Why do you think we don't know
7 months since Butler. My God, the world has changed in that 7 months, huh?
more about the guy who shot you in the ear?
Yeah, well, and the second one with all of his cell phones. So I want to find the answers. I've told them. In fact, today I said, I want to find, we can no longer blame Biden for that one. He should have released that a long time ago. So they are giving me a report next week sometime, and I do believe I'll be releasing. I want to release the report. A lot of people have asked that question. You had one who had 3 apps, 2 of which were foreign, supposedly.
Well, when they say that, I mean, what is a foreign app? Is that Telegram or Signal? I don't know if that's like a foreign app. It sounds like all sorts of nefarious, but I don't know, maybe.
And who has the biggest white shoe law firm in Pennsylvania, even though they don't live in necessarily a white shoe area. What's that all about? His law, the law firm. The other one had 7 or 6 cell phones. And I don't have 6 cell phones. And why would somebody have 6 cell phones? So we're going to be releasing a report on that soon, Peter.
But based on what you're saying right there, the lack of information and the data points that you just gave, does that make you think that there's some part of that there's some bigger?
It could be. Well, it makes other people think that. It makes me think it a little bit too. I say, when you have 3 apps and 2 of them are foreign, and you had an FBI that wouldn't report on it, they didn't want to say why, I would say that could be suspicious. And then on the second assassin, you had, and by the way, I have to tell you, Secret Service did a great job on that by spotting him. But on the second one, he had 6 cell phones. That's a lot of cell phones. And a couple of them had some strange markings on them. So, yeah, I want to find out, and I would be willing to release it. I mean, maybe there's a reason that we shouldn't, so I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis, but yeah, I would be.
Does President Trump not wear a wedding ring? I'm just looking at his ring finger. I don't see a ring on there.
Be very willing to release that. I'd like to see it. I want to see it myself, Peter. Not only you, I want to see that one myself.
The fact that he hasn't seen it all himself by now is a little weird. Yeah, Pam Bondi saying Epstein files will likely be redacted due to national security concerns. Fire her immediately. Abusing kids for blackmail is a national security concern. Do we dare touch the comments? Probably not. Either Epstein was working for the U.S. government to blackmail people that the U.S. government wanted leverage over, or Epstein was blackmailing U.S. politicians on behalf of another country. Yes, let me just stop while I'm ahead. That's a good comment. I'm going to let it be. You know which country. The one you're not allowed to talk about. I mean, the links to Mossad, the links to Israel are massive with Ghislaine Maxwell, her father, and Jeffrey Epstein, and it's all pretty obvious where it all links back to. But you have to wonder, kind of like it said, is it that the U.S. government was involved in this, which makes them just as bad or worse, or that it was a foreign country trapping the U.S. politicians so that they would be able to become their dancing puppets, if you will. Weird stuff. Here's an unearthed video showing Jasmine Crockett talking with a much different accent than the one she has now in Congress.
Absolutely. First of all, it's good to see you in the new year. No one could have told me that when I went down to Austin, now it looks like a little bit over a year ago, that I would be running for Congress.
Sounds very different.
It's just not what my plan was. But what I've always decided should take my seat. I really was kind of caught off guard.
Sounds very different. Here you go. Scott Jennings again. Always good for a...
Well, I think they acknowledge as they go. They've obviously updated the information they've put out on their website. And I think they have some political leash here to make a few mistakes because people look at this government. I mean, today we spend about $6.2 trillion. In 2019, we spent $4.45 trillion. How did we go from $4.5 trillion to $6.2 trillion?
Tax
just the
cuts,
last 5 years.
CRs.
No, this is spending. This is
Rampant
federal spending. And so, and on the VA memo,
these mistakes are impacting everyone's lives, like literal lives.
On the VA memo, that we've been talking about, these job cuts. If you read the memo, they're going back to 2019 staffing levels. The VA operated in 2019. We somehow lived with those staffing levels.
Yeah, but you know it was passed in between then, the PACT Act, which was to help burn pit victims.
I know.
That's why it expanded.
I know, but here's the point that Republicans
Yeah, but that's
making.
more people who needed eligible, who were eligible to.
Do we need
to be
70,000
covered.
federal workers to cover it? My question, and what the Republicans are asking, is simply this. Is it not possible for us to approach getting back to 2019 spending levels, or maybe did we go too far with the size of government? It always gets bigger. It never gets smaller. There will be sob stories. There will be sad stories. But overall fiscal health of this country matters.
It can't be a talking point that these are sob stories. These are, again, people's livelihoods and also the health of this country, right? They have some of these mistakes that people keep talking about are gutting our agencies that are taking care of, I don't know, paying attention to the bird flu, Ebola, these things that actually can have
no, good grief.
Detrimental impacts on
We have
the American
Ebola in the
people.
United States?
Well, we are helping the world be a safer place as well, Scott.
I mean, on the
we know
bird
that.
flu, we did. Biden slaughtered all the chickens. I don't know if there's any
Oh,
left
my
to kill.
goodness. Oh, my
On that note,
Come on, Scott.
It was a bloodbath. You all love that word.
You can laugh
Well done. It was a bloodbath. You love that word.
about this, but these are things that people are actually scared about. I mean, measles is coming back. There's so many things that are happening that are federal.
Measles has always been back. It's
Government
You're saying
makes sure.
Elon Musk caused the measles?
I'm saying what is happening in this government right now with
all right. Is that Caitlin Collins person, is that a man or is it a girl? For real. Anyone? Like, I just whatever, but like, I'm just glancing at the profile like that. Is that a guy? Anyone else have that thought as well?
Government right now with Donald Trump appointing.
You saying Donald Trump caused the measles?
I am saying that what is happening in this federal government under Donald Trump, allowing Elon Musk and allowing all these people that he appointed to run this government like this, is actually making us unsafer for the American
Elon
people.
calls the measles. You heard it here first.
Here. Scott
Not what I
Jennings,
said.
Johnson, not what you said.
He's fun. He is fun. All right. I think that's really all I wanted to get to today. Oh, this teacher was abusing kids. All right, you can go to hell. What else? Oh yeah, this person. This is kind of what I was saying earlier. I'll end with this thought from Matt Van Swoel. I've been seeing him report a lot about the Western North Carolina damage. I'm kind of partial to that. I've sort of adopted it as a topic to really hammer down on. About people that used to vote Democrat and decided to switch over and, see the light. It's okay to not be a big fan of Republicans, but MAGA feels different. MAGA feels like they're getting quite a few things right, and it's way better than the alternative. But Matt Van Swoel said, this morning I woke up to see that I was followed by libs of TikTok. If me 1 year ago saw me now, he wouldn't recognize me at all. A year ago, I thought libs of TikTok was a bigot and a racist. I was unknowingly trapped inside of a media ecosystem that told me what to believe and how to think. I repeated these same lines to others too, without any research of my own. I walked around believing I was morally superior, that I had the truth and the experts on my side. I was wrong. I didn't see it until Hurricane Helene hit us in the Western North Carolina. I didn't see it until I watched the entire media ecosystem I trusted ignore us while we were screaming for help. It was so shocking, so unbelievable. Some days I questioned my own reality. I never thought the media I knew and trusted would turn on me like that. And for what? An election? For politics? Surely not. Surely people suffering would overrule any political decision these media outlets would make, right? No, it was all a lie. Everything I thought I knew about the media, about politics, it crashed to the ground and shattered. I got on X, and for the first time, I started seeing the truth. I started sharing my own reality in Western North Carolina. Honestly, I owe so many people on the right so many apologies. Once you break out of the bubble, once you see the media turn on you, once you see their entire apparatus is set up to point you in one direction like a wind-up toy soldier, you cannot unsee it. Thank you for the follow, Libs of TikTok. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, so here's this picture. This is circulating. This is the one they said that someone who looked like it was Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein This photo was allegedly taken by a rogue drone operator on Epstein Island after he committed suicide. Could it possibly be that he was sprung from jail and he's just laying very low? Perhaps the national security risk posed from the release of the Epstein files would be what the general public would do if they knew that Epstein was still alive. Anyway, there's a million things. Robert Maxwell. I'm tired of it. I am so tired of it. Act Blue, the Democrat payment processor through which AG Letitia James took hundreds of thousands of dollars in illegally laundered money. Yeah, Act Blue is falling to pieces. The guy that covered the Epstein files getting a celebration on his way out instead of indictments. Head of the FBI New York, Dennehy, leaving office after being forced to resign. Who the hell's clapping for this guy and why? Anyway. So you go. Oh, yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene just saying, we've been robbed blind. And of course we have. U.S. government, here you go. Take a kick at the Epstein files. Just kidding. I'm going to pull it away at the last second. All right. That's all I had. Let me just, it's a Michelle. Yeah. British accents, isn't it? Isn't it? What's up with that? I know anything's possible. I also talked with Adam Kokesh about John McAfee. Adam reminded me that John McAfee asked to run as Adam's running mate. What was it, for 2020? Libertarian convention ticket. And I said, wouldn't it be interesting if Jeffrey Epstein and John McAfee both found a way to escape their predicament? I'm not saying I necessarily believe it, but wouldn't it be interesting? I think it'd be very interesting. All right. I'm just going to end with this. I'm going to go to a nice, hilarious moment here. And then I will play out the show. Thank you all for watching today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show. Once again, link up with us. Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social, Patreon, Rumble, and YouTube is all The New American Media. On X, we're at American_media_. The Agree to Disagree show podcast on Spotify and iTunes. And on X at American_media_, like I said. And then TNAM and TNAM chat on Signal and Telegram. Here is kind of funny. This is comedian Godfrey. He's doing a couple impersonations. He's pretty good. And with that, I will play myself out. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Here we go. Our moment of Zen. Well, I guess maybe I'll do it like that. Here we go. Yeah, I don't really want to call this the moment of Zen. It's just, I mean, I grew up like a lot of you watching Comedy Central back when Jon Stewart was funny. Even Colbert was funny. There were a couple, John Oliver was kind of funny. Like, they kind of used to be funny, and they've kind of gotten really deep statey. And that's not very funny to me. Anyway, here we go, Godfrey.
They're very lean and mean. Doesn't he look good? He looks good. I tell you. It's the black guys that look so good. I wish I could be bald-headed. White guys look like chemo patients. You know? But you look so, even when Trump talks, there's a lean he does when he's like this. Isn't he great? He's so good. He's amazing. I'm telling you, this is a great country. It's so great. People think I'm ruining the country, but it's you people that are ruining the country, right? The Latinos, hermanos, adios amigos. Adios amigos. I tricked you. Adios, amigos. Anything with an O has to go. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. Adios, cucaracha, cucaracha. It's about cockroaches that couldn't walk. Okay, this is amazing. And Obama, oh boy, what a piece of crap, isn't he? The blacks love me so much, way more than Obama and Sleepy Joe.
I like how he does that about Obama. I got to remember to do that when I do a Trump impersonation, like to really speed up a word. I know how to raise the volume, but I got to speed up a multi-syllabic word. That's a good reminder.
And Obama's like, he's a fool. He's an idiot. The guy just keeps talking.
Oh, wow.
I can do I love my talent, my big audience, Obama. Did you hear him? The guy, something's wrong with him. That's a new form of autism. Forrest Gump doesn't have a damn thing on him.
Oh, there goes Obama. There he goes again. He's so mad that he lost. He's mad that he lost to me. So bad. So terrible.
Because there's versions, there's different levels of Trump.
You got him, though, bro.
Yeah, spot on. When he was young, he was like this.
Let me tell you, Rosie O'Donnell, she's a fat pig. She's always been a fat pig.
Remember when he was young? That's how he talked. He's like,
she's always been a fat pig. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not racist. All my buildings are wonderful. My golf clubs are great.
That's when he was younger.
Yes.
But this one, he's a little tired. He's almost 8. He's like,
oh, it's so great. Let me tell you, you don't have the cards, Zelensky. You don't have the cards. Be quiet. I have the cards. This is like Uno. I have draw 4. You have skip.
You have skip. You have skip. You have skip. This is Uno. I'm numero uno.
Shout out to the Latinos. I'm sorry for what I did, but I'm numero uno. Number 1. And don't you forget that. Watch your mouth with me.
And then Elon Musk like, you have to. So I came on Big Boy's show, and I mean, yeah, you know, I did. I came on Big Boy's show, and my technology is going to be. I don't really have to be on a show like this. I have a robot that looks just like you, Big Boy. I really think he comes in his pants when he's talking about his technology. He's like, I'm gonna tell you.
You're very lean and mean. Doesn't he look good? He looks good.
All right, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Nimbus and I will see you later. Peace. Oh, when is my next show? I know. I should try to Bella's chance. I should try to find a regular time and stick to it. I know that. I think long term I might settle into an evening show. Nimbus, you're getting called out, buddy. I feel like I should do the TNAM PM show sometime after 5 or 6, maybe. I don't want to go too late, but there are some days that's not going to work for me because I have other things to do. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out right now. I sort of had locked in. Nimbus holding my hand. Look at this guy. He's so cool. I used to do Tuesday, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and now I'm kind of all over the map. I try to do a TNAM AM show, but some mornings are different. Today was different. There were some other things that I was working on. When is the next show? Probably tomorrow morning, probably 10 or 11 a.m. Let me just say probably tomorrow, probably 10 or 11 a.m. What's more zen-like than watching a cat take a nap? Come on, that's your moment of zen. Days or early for me? Yeah. I'm sort of figuring it out as I go. It's going to be slightly dependent on a couple of factors. The morning is not always going to work for me. I wish I had a better answer for you. For tomorrow, I would say it's highly probable that I will do a show before noon. 10, 11, 12, depending on what tonight is. So we will find out. But yeah, if you ever miss an episode, I know it's fun to like be in the room. Like that's part of the great part of this. That is one of my favorite components to doing live shows is getting that feedback instantaneously. Nimbus, what are you doing? He's like reaching up. But yeah, if you ever miss a show, check it out after the fact as well. You know, I try to scroll through everything that's happening. I definitely don't get on all the stories. There were a lot of people breaking down components of that Ian Carroll stuff. I don't know. It's there. You know what the topics are, and he's misreporting some of them. Later, the better. Later, the better. Okay, yeah, because you're Sacramento. That's right. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what. I don't know. It would be easier for everyone involved if I had a consistent time. I mean, if I were up real early for the TNAM AM show, that might be best. But of course, that wouldn't be best for you. So I'll just say tomorrow. It's highly likely I will do a show before noon, maybe 10 or 11-ish. But we're going to find out. I don't know. Like I said, if you miss an episode, jump in. And we'll go from there. Kitty's name is Nimbus. NIMBUS. Not a mouse. MOUSE. All right, and that comedian's name is Godfrey. Go check him out. He's been a guest on Adam Carolla a couple times, and he's really he does a ton of impressions. He's really good. I did see Frank Caliendo's coming to the comedy club sometime soon. I've always wanted to see. Man, is he good? Man, is he good? Nimbus is very cool. And it's neat. It's neat to say I'm a comedian. I was voted class clown in, geez, I don't know, 5th grade, 4th grade or something. I don't even know what the process was. I don't know if it was like a yearbook or what, like why it was a thing. I think in order to win the title, I opened up a container of syrup and poured it on my head, just like for the pure shock value of it, like Jackass before Jackass. Yeah, Godfrey, Godfrey. Really funny dude. But yeah, I've always liked humor. Humor's always been like my favorite. But yeah, I've done 5 stand-up sets now. And I'm continuing. I know I should do it every day, but I haven't yet. Oh, Deb, you think I'm effing funny? Thank you. I try. Like in the moment trying to, kind of like you guys, cracking jokes here on the side and using wordplay and trying to make something funny out of it. Like I know how to do that, but to like actually, I moved the note cards. But yeah, I write my jokes out on note cards and then I go up and perform them and I glance at them and try to look at them as little as possible and look at the crowd and eventually take those notes away and just commit it to memory. I'm not there yet. But I'm building toward it. And it's pretty cool. I was actually, you'd pay to see my stand-up. Kenneth actually gets a little bit. Now you got me thinking. Yeah, if I think some of my jokes are kind of funny. I really do. I wonder if I should. I wonder if I should. I think I want to get to the point where I feel comfortable that I've like really nailed the set. Every week I rewrite the set. I keep some components usually, and then I rewrite them. I'll do a series of Super Bowl jokes, and then I'll get rid of those. I'll do a series of, the plane crash, the helicopter crash. Like my first set, I was like, I went there. I wonder if there's a way. I wonder if there's. Yeah. Look, long story short, I enjoy making people laugh. I'm glad if I bring some humor and value to your life, and I'm going to try to keep writing funny jokes and contemplating Brian, Rodin, the thinker. I'm going to continue doing it, and we'll see where it takes me. I've just always felt like part of the podcasting world. I think, maybe it's the Joe Rogan model, but adding comedy to it is something. I mean, everybody can do it. All you have to do is get up on stage and talk for 4 minutes, and it's okay to bomb. Everybody bombs. That's the thing. Everybody gets 0 laughs on some jokes. It's okay. So the only barrier to entry is deciding to do it. And once I've started, I don't want to stop now. I don't know if that's going to happen, Deb. That would be behind a very, very big paywall, I would imagine. The Patreon or OnlyFans comedy special, I would imagine. There's got to be comics doing that, I would imagine. Open rope night. Oh my God, we had a weird story at the comedy club. I'll tell you this one. There was a night that this guy I was talking to, one of the comics that was working, and this guy came up. He was very vocal. Anyway, and he's like, "Hey, I want to buy that big picture of Robin Williams." He's like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. It's not for sale though. It's part of the decoration." He goes, "I don't care. I want it. I want to buy it." He's like, "Tell him I'll give him $5." He goes, He goes, "Tell him I'll give him $1,000 for it. I really want that big poster of Robin, the big, mural or whatever of Robin Williams." He goes, "They're not interested in selling." He goes, "I'll pay him $1,500. I just want it. I really want that thing. I'm very." So anyway, they go and tell the manager, and he's like, "For $1,500?" He goes, "Dude, I can order one of these for $70 off of. I'll replace it. Fine, I'll sell it to you for $1,500 if you really want it." So a couple weeks later, the guy's working, and someone from the club comes up to me and goes, "Hey, you remember that guy that got that poster?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "So his daughter called, and they were saying, 'Hey, I'm going through my dad's stuff, and it shows that there's a $1,500 charge from the comedy club, and that doesn't seem right. Is this a fraudulent purchase? Did someone get a credit card and make fake orders and stuff?" And he goes, "No, this was actually, he wanted to buy something from the club, and we sold him the picture of Robin Williams." She goes, "Oh, okay. All right, I do understand that." She's like, "Wow." She goes, she goes, "I'm calling because my father's gone. He decided to take his self, and he was there right next to the picture of Robin Williams, who took himself. I don't know if he did it that night or shortly after." It was like the funny man that that was just a wild story. It's better when he tells it. I'm trying to remember all the key components, but yeah, I guess that's not funny. That was not ending on a high note. That was like, wow, jeez. Yes, he did that thing that it's so weird that we're supposed to talk in code to get past these algorithms searching for words. Yeah, it was just wild. It was like, oh my God. So of course I had to rib my buddy a little bit. This comic that I kept telling him he was the reason why. If you just wouldn't have sold it, he'd still be with us today. I had to keep going on and on about it. I only did it 2 or 3 times because really it's a shitty thing to say, but that's what comics do. You throw shitty things at the wall and maybe it cracks you up. And comedy often it's just a release of tension. You're like, or like you uncomfortably laugh. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I laughed at that. That's embarrassing. Oh geez. But like it releases tension. So yeah, that was wild. But yeah, it's nice to say I'm a comic. I would like to become a better one every single week. So I guess maybe I practice on you guys during the show, and then I get up on stage. I got my 4 minutes. I got 4 minutes to just hammer and try to get three laughs per minute, something like that. We'll see. All right, I gotta go. I will talk to you later. Enjoy your weekend. Get some sunlight. Go do something. Get out in the environment of humans, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Peace.